Hey Bat fans, Luke here bringing you my next video, and today we're taking a look at the most recent DC animated series release. And actually this one they're calling the DC classic original movie release, Batman The Return of the Caped Crusaders, which is obviously centered in the Adam West era Batman. And I am definitely calling its own era because it's definitely its own unique thing. And before we go into the movie, I kind of do want to talk a little bit about uh, the Batman 66 series, both in print and on TV, because I do believe it does deserve some merit to talk about. And I won't go too far in depth in it because I want to keep this video relatively short. But in addition to the points I'm getting ready to make, I'm going to refer everyone to my good friend Bat Josh, which I'll link a couple videos of his below. One, if I remember the title correctly, it's why the Batman 66 series should matter, and another one is a video about the one-shot Two-Face story, which they called the Lost Episode, which actually dealt with the Batman 66 series. And in those two videos, it makes a lot of good points, which I'm just kind of like say something similar to what he emphatically and justly brings up in his videos, but I think our points kind of parallel each other, and that is, I think the Batman 66 series gets a lot of unjust flack, and I think basically comes down to two things why that kind of occurs. First off, if you're unaware of what we're talking about, the Batman 66 or Adam West interpretation of Batman, the Batman 66 series in book form it's still going on technically in DC. The main series itself, Batman 66, which actually started there in volume number 1, wrapped up last year. And I think it was about 30 issues. I can't remember exactly. So far in trade, they released 4 volumes, but I still think there's about another 2 more trades worth still to go. In addition to that, they had a bunch of tie-ins, or miniseries actually. First one, which was actually really good, definitely recommend you pick it up, is Batman Meets the Green Hornet. Then they had Batman Meets the Man from U.N.C.L.E. And then most recently, we're getting ready to go into the final issue. They just had issue number 5, so the penultimate issue was just released, so getting ready to go into the final one of Batman Meets Steed and Mrs. Peel. And then they're getting ready to start one I'm really excited for, and that is Batman 66 meets Wonder Woman 77. And that's just in comic book print. And then also, obviously, you have the Adam West series, which aired in 1966, which had Adam West as Batman, Burt Ward as Robin, George Romero as the Joker, Julie Newmar as Catwoman, just to mention a few, which ran, I think, 3 seasons, if not 3, only 2. I can't remember for sure off the top of my head. And in addition to that, they had the actual Batman original movie, which, if you like the reference, to shark repellent, it's in there. So it was actually a really good movie, about an hour and a half long, which I definitely recommend everyone check out. So if you're unaware of what we're talking about when we say Batman 66, that's kind of what we're getting at. But why I think he gets some undue flack thrown its way. Again, definitely defer to Bat Josh's 2 videos because he really articulates the point, and I'm just kind of echoing it because I do feel kind of the same way. First off, it is not the Batman we know of today. Definitely not even anywhere close. For newer people who are just jumping on the Batman, and the only Batman they know is, Tom King's or Scott Snyder's or Tynan's take on Batman with stories like, obviously, like I Am Suicide or I Am Gotham, Endgame, Death of the Family, Court of Owls, you name it, Black Mirror. And And that's what you know of Batman. And then if you want to give something like the Adam West series a try, it is such a sharp contrast to what you think is, the Batman that you know to be true. It's it's definitely a more campier take on Batman. I'm not going to say comedic 'cause I think that's a little bit too strong of a word, but it definitely has more of a comedic tone to it. Kind of magnifies the goofiness and the dialogue. It's a sharp contrast to what you may have been only been exposed to, so it's not going to seem true and organic to quote unquote the source material. But I mean, back at the day, back in 1966, that was kind of like the um the direction Batman was going because of the Comic Code Authority, blah blah blah. Not gonna go too far into that, but Batman had to be reined in. He was apparently getting too dark for some, and that was the Batman of the time. So back then, that was Batman. So for people growing up during 1966, that's their thing. And as time evolves, they can kind of see the evolution of Batman. Which brings me to the second point, in that I'm not going to say it's a niche audience, and those who are not in that niche aren't going to enjoy it, but I think it sort of is. If you grew up in the 1966 era, this was your Batman. So obviously, as time goes on since then, the history and the takes of Batman evolve over time, and you become kind of numb to that sharp transition because it's just the evolution of the character. Whereas and then also there's also the group of people like kids my age. When I say kids, that's very loosely used. If you were growing up in the late 80s, early 90s, in syndication where I had TV Land at night, they had Batman 66 reruns being shown, and that was right in the height of, especially during the Michael Keaton Batman. You kind of grew up with that right around the time too of the animated series, so it kind of gets that nostalgia feel to it. So you kind of appreciate it a little bit more than maybe the gang of today, the newer Batman fans. So those two kind of examples or kind of hit points, or why people kind of appreciate Batman 66 a little bit more. And then there's also people like me, historians out there. It's evolution. It's just the character evolved through times, through the social norms of society at the time. Is what it is. But again, if you weren't steeped into those time periods, if you're not that demographic, it goes to why people just don't enjoy it. Maybe it is a niche group of people who like it. I don't know. But me, I enjoy it. Again, do I prefer this to the Batman of today? No. The Batman of today is what I prefer. I think Batman is on just a really good roll right now. He's getting so much good Bat stories in. But it is good every once in a while to pick up an issue or pick up a trade here and there and read it. So it does, yes, it does play the nostalgia effect, but it does have some pretty cool parts to it. So, in the long sentence, I guess, that's why I think Batman 66 series kind of get some undue flack. Which leads into the movie, which I'll be straight up. If you do not like Batman 66, if you don't like the Adam West take on Batman, this is definitely not going to be for you. But if that is your thing, or you can kind of tolerate that type of interpretation, I think you're really going to enjoy this movie. Straight up, I love this movie. This was awesome. I will say one of the better animated series releases, Batman-centric, they've done. I think this is better than The Killing Joke, and I really did enjoy The Killing Joke. Let me rein that back. Yeah, what the heck, I'll say it. Yeah, better than The Killing Joke. Not as good as I think of Under the Red Hood, but it's definitely been one of the better Batman animated series releases in a while. And also to echo my points of my fellow Bat fan out there, Bat Josh, he mentions a lot about staying true to the source material, but not being stuck to it when you come to make an animated series. Sometimes you gotta do your own thing, and when you try to stay too true to something, kind of gets tethered to it, or if it's not the right type of media. Anyway, he makes the point so much more valid than I can, but this, I think, stays true to the era that they're using, but this is like an original story thrown in with a lot of nods. And but this was really good. Overall, the story, what occurs is that first off, it has the voices of Adam West, Burt Ward, Julie Nimoy, and then the director, which I really got to check because I didn't. I thought it said Rick Moranis directed this. And if that's the case, that's pretty spectacular, to be honest. So, I don't know. I'll take a look at it, maybe put it in the comments or in the description bar. But I thought it said Rick Moranis directed this. We'll see if I remember that correctly. But overall, the story... Batman and Robin going up against the Riddler, Joker, Penguin, and Catwoman, which Catwoman this week really getting a lot of got a spotlight. She's in the Catwoman Election Night special, the one shot that was just released. Also, she's a big player in the I Am Suicide story, which we had in Batman issue number 10. And obviously, she's a main player in this movie that was released. So, but there's the good guys and the bad guys, and really the bad guys possessive. Oh man, that sounded horrible. They're trying to go after this piece of technology, this ray gun that basically can make duplicates of things. And in doing so, we have a whole bunch of mischief and action scenes, and then there's actually a part in the story where actually Batman becomes under some sort of mind control. We'll kind of leave it at that. Done by Catwoman, which initially did not work, but over time the symptoms kind of became more prevalent, and then we start seeing a little bit more of an agitated, not normal Batman, to say the least. Which then takes us to places like we go to space for a while. We end up on the Penguin's bird blimp for a little bit. We make appearances at the Gotham Institute for the Criminally Insane. It's a whole bunch of crazy places this movie takes us. In addition to that, you see a whole lot of nods and just subtle jabs at the audience, like the kind of wink wink you get when we're picking up type thing there. There's actually one fight. They're in space, and how they get in space, why they're in space, you'll get to it. But if you watch it, but there's a couple points of dialogue where Batman was like, he's punching. I think it was Joker at the time, and he's like, "You want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts." And he's hitting him. It's obviously a nod to the Michael Keaton Batman, and then I think he's punching the Penguin when he's like, "This is the operating table, and I am the surgeon." A nod to The Dark Knight Returns. There's a couple other little subtle nods to other Batman stories. The one part cracking me up early on in the movie, they're getting ready to, they see what happens to the introduction to the villains, and they get the call from Commissioner Gordon. And as they're getting ready to go into the building, Robin wanted to jaywalk, and Batman's like, "No, we can't do that. We're deputized agents of the law. We can't break the law. We can't take shortcuts." So they go back and across. It was hilarious. That goes into the campiness, goofiness that you're going to see in this movie, and if you kind of appreciate that, you're going to appreciate that very much. The dialogue throughout was just spot on, and I thought the animation was really, really well done. It was real crisp, smooth, executed, not too many glitches. in it, and it was just really polished. It was really good animation. I got to give him credit for that. It was really well done. Overall length was about an hour and 15 minutes, and overall it was just a really good story. We actually see a bad Batman for a while, obviously under the influence of something, which you'll see when you watch it, but it really did have a good flow to it. It had a lot of good twists. Cameos were there. In addition to main crew, we actually had cameos by King Tut, Egghead, Ragman made an appearance, Bookworm. A whole bunch of people made appearances in this movie, and I thought from the beginning to the end, it flowed really well. Had a really good story, and really no flaws. Actually, the only flaw I kind of would give it, while the ending was good, it wrapped up kind of, I think, a little bit too quickly. When it comes time to the end, it does wrap up pretty quick. The evolution of the Catwoman character, I think a lot of people will appreciate that. She starts off being the bad gal, but she does kind of get into more of somewhat what we think of the Catwoman of today, toward the very end, where she kind of toes the line between good and bad, and there's that love interest between Selina and Bruce that we know of today that we actually see in the movie. So overall, as far as that goes, I'm not going to say it's layered because I think it's making too much in depth of a look into this, but it's definitely a well thought out, well executed story, using and staying true to the source material and executed very well on this Blu-ray DVD movie. And it was really good. The Bat anti... What do you call it? The Bat anti-antidote. That cracked me up. So there's a lot of one-liners that you're going to read. You're going to watch this and you're going to chuckle a little bit. But I'm going to give this a 4.5 out of 5. I thought this was really, really well done. If you enjoy Batman 66 or the Adam West take on Batman, you're going to jump on this. You're going to love it. I'm telling you. If you have an open mind and kind of keep in mind of that part of history of Batman's time where this was the norm, if you can kind of appreciate this, you're going to really, if you can appreciate that, you'll really enjoy this. If you just can't stand it, man, this is that type of take on Batman, you just don't even waste your time, because I'm not going to win you over. You're not going to like it. But again, if this is your thing, if you can kind of take this interpretation of Batman, enjoy it for what it is, you're really going to enjoy this movie. 4.5 out of 5. Well done. Highly recommend you pick it up. Special features. There are 2 special features at the end. One's kind of like the voice acting, how they kind of recorded that, and the other one's kind of like the overall concept of an execution of the project, in addition to some sneak peeks of videos that they already released, Batman versus Robin, to name a few. So at least one anyway. So for what you're getting, you get the Blu-ray and the DVD for only, I think I only paid like $17-18, something like that. Well worth the money. Good time. Highly recommend it. So anyway, those are my thoughts on Batman: The Return of the Caped Crusaders. Let me know in the comments below what you thought. We'll bat chat about it and kind of go from there. So until next week, which will be a ton of books coming out, take care.